hello again. This is Chris Jolly and Bill Rowland. Bill Rowland here with you for PMNS's podcast. Another week is our third or fourth one. I've lost track.
It depends on if you call the pilot
episode
1 or the pilot.
I don't know. I know we've done a few of these now.
This is number 4.
I guess I should have resolved that by now. But this is our fourth podcast. We have a lot to talk about. The NFL is still just dominating headlines in the sports world, at least.
Yeah.
We can't bring ourselves to talk about baseball quite yet. And again, we're baseball guys. But there's some pennant races going on. Yankees and Blue Jays. A couple others. The wild card in the AL's a little messy. But, we'll wait another couple weeks to talk about October baseball.
For the most part, you know who the division winners are going to be. Toronto kind of put New York out of their misery as far as that goes the past couple of nights. I mean, it's going to be Toronto, Kansas City. I guess the AL West is kind of up in the air a little bit.
Yeah, that's the big one, I guess. Texas in the lead now.
In the National League, it's going to be the Mets, the Cardinals, and the Dodgers. So that's pretty much done.
And then all the NL Centrals,
the
wild card.
So. It's going to be Pittsburgh and Chicago. So it's going to be a fun October. It's just you got to wait to get to October.
It's crazy. This third place team, the Cubs, would be winning the other divisions in the National League.
They are really, really good. I would not be surprised to see them make a nice run with all those young guys they got.
Not at all. But we'll get that out of here right now because we're still talking NFL. And I got to tell you, we're still perplexed in some ways about this weekend.
I'm embarrassed.
Embarrassed? Yeah, embarrassed. Well, our PMNS.com NFL picks didn't go so well.
It's terrible.
Jeez, I know. You missed
all
yours. I was 2 for 10, I think, on mine. The other guys at best were 1 out of 4, 1 out of 3.
It's not good when I can lose all 4 of my bets and I'm still the only one of us that is in positive money. That's not good for any of us. I'm plus 140, I think, which is not great.
But I mean, some of the performances from these teams have defied logic. I mean, I can't understand it. I can't understand if you watch the New Orleans Tampa Bay game, or if you watched Indy and the Jets, if you watch Philadelphia perform in both these games. I mean, these teams are just, there's not a lot of ways to say it. They're S-ing the bed.
Well, for Philadelphia, this is why, and we said it over and over again, this is why you don't trust anything that happens in the preseason.
Right.
Because they were moving the ball up and down the field on people in the preseason. Everyone, oh my gosh, Chip Kelly. And I think we said this on the opening podcast. Nobody game plans in the preseason.
True.
Nobody was trying to stop Philadelphia. They were just okay, run your base stuff. We're not going to show anything. We're just going to evaluate guys. And nobody was really trying to stop them. Well, then you get into week 1, and Dan Quinn, coming over from Seattle to Atlanta, was well, we're going to stop this. And they did for about the first 30 minutes.
Right.
And then Philly woke up in the second half, but too little too late. And then they looked terrible against Dallas. And I mean,
just awful.
I don't trust Dallas.
And defense. Not even a strong Dallas team. A Dallas team that was clearly weakened without Dez Bryant.
They let Brandon Whedon go 7 for 7.
A Dallas team that still doesn't have its full defense yet.
Right. That's true.
Good for Dallas. If they can just survive. Amazing. Yeah, he does. If they can just survive 500, they're the class of that division, even with their injuries.
If they can get Romo back, if it's only 8 weeks, and they somehow go 500 with Brandon Whedon and or Matt Castle, who they traded for, if they come out of this and they're 6-4, going down the stretch, and they get Romo back, even if they don't get Dez Bryant back, I think they're good enough to win.
They should be. If Philly plays like this, and I will say there were a lot of people that still didn't trust Sam Bradford. And I guess they were right at this stage.
Yep.
I mean, good Lord, they might go with Mark Sanchez at some point.
I think they said already, didn't they say they
are they going with him this week?
Switch? I thought they talked about it.
Well, you have to. If you're going to be that bad at home against a division rival, you have to. Now, Andrew Luck, I think, is safe. Drew Brees, I think, is safe.
Yeah, well, if Brees is healthy, that's the thing that we're waiting.
He says he's healthy. He's
taking this on Thursday, so if you watch it Friday or Saturday, whenever, and you're like, but guys, Brees isn't going to play. I mean, the reports were yesterday he went through practice. Now, he didn't make a single throw because of the shoulder, but he's still planning on playing Sunday, which is crazy to me.
Well,
I mean,
I think he's embarrassed and humiliated more than we are. If you watch that game, and I watched that game,
awful. I watched a lot.
They were just pathetic.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't all breeze, of course. I mean, his teammates fumbled it, I think, 5 times, losing 2 of them.
Yeah.
I mean, they look like terrible out there.
Well, and he's
home opener.
He's not on defense. That's what I always say when everybody goes, "Oh, they look awful. It's this guy's fault." Well, he's not the one covering.
True.
But,
I mean, but these home openers for some of these 0-2 teams, I mean, Indy, New Orleans, and Philly, that look so bad in these home openers. I mean, nobody's that worried about Seattle. They get Cam Chancellor back. They were on the road the first 2 weeks. They're 0-2. Nobody's panicking about them
yet. No, because they'll beat Chicago, and everybody will be like,
beat Chicago. But I'm almost afraid to bet on the favorite after our, the number's going to get up to probably 18, and the Bears will probably, barely lose. Jimmy Clausen, Cutler's out
think of
too.
Think of all the backups that are playing now.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got go back 2 months and think of the backups that are now starting. Cousins was not the backup in Washington. He's now the starter.
Right.
Clausen was not the starter in Chicago. He's now the starter.
Right.
Brandon Weeden was not the starter in Dallas. He's now the starter.
Right.
There's a chance, maybe, that McCown will be the starter in New Orleans.
Is actually McCown. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's a
the other McCown.
The other
yes,
McCown,
sorry.
the one from the Verizon commercials, which are spectacular, by the way.
Yes.
He may be the starter in New Orleans.
Oh.
There's a chance that Philly may change their starting quarter. I mean, it's everywhere.
In Cleveland, they're
Cleveland's
already going back to Josh McCown
That's
after
right.
going to Manziel
And
last
won.
week.
And then they made the switch. Geno Smith 2 months ago was the starter in New York. Now it's Ryan Fitzpatrick. I mean, it's everywhere. Everywhere.
Yeah. And it seems like it's a lot more wide open than we had first thought in our previews in the NFC and the AFC. I mean, the Jets, some of these teams. I mean, New England, they're still the class of the league.
Yep.
You probably got Green Bay on the other side. They're going to probably now have home field advantage
that was
throughout the
huge
playoffs.
this past
Huge
weekend.
win for them, emotional. New England, they're probably going to go through. They'll get the Jets, but I mean, does anybody really think the Jets will take them down? No. Denver somehow is 2-0 after looking terrible. So, but everybody seems to be a little more beatable than we thought this year.
We talked about this when we were going through the tiers in our first episode that we did. And we said in the NFC there were just a mess of teams that could win anywhere from like 6 to 9 games.
Right.
I still think that's true.
It's true.
I just think that there may be a couple of those teams that we thought maybe could win 6 to 9. They won't. Like, I don't know that New Orleans is going to win 6 games this year.
No, not if they play like this.
I don't think Chicago's going to win 6 games this year.
No, and then Tennessee, we might have just a boatload of 8-8 teams.
Yes. Very possible.
7-9 and 9-7 teams, with the best one sneaking in as the wild card. So
somewhere
Tennessee went out and laid an egg after destroying Tampa Bay. So we'll step away from that. We're taking deep breaths. You can trust us here to give you money picks this week. Just give us this week. Week 2 was a crazy week.
7 this week. I usually don't go that much. I got 7 picks.
Wow. Tell us about the Survivor pools.
Oh,
That's crazy.
Yeah, this is amazing. I play every year for my fantasy football, my season-long leagues. I use, and I'm not getting any money for this, but I'll give them a plug because they're fantastic. A site, FF Today, Fantasy Football Today, fftoday.com. And if you use their spreadsheets and analytics and everything, you get a free entry into their Survivor pool. $5,000 on the line. Whoever wins it, $5,000. I've been doing it for years. I've gotten to week 10 plus.
Yeah, I remember a couple
years
ago you were doing pretty
well.
well.
I've done it a couple times. I've never cashed in it, but I have gotten late into the season a few times. Not this year. There were about 1,400 people that started week 1. In week 1, we lost about 100 people, which is generally about average. People try to, sneak in that, I think this could be the upset. There are a lot of, some people took Tampa to beat Tennessee, and that didn't happen, and those kind of things. And I think some people lost on the Colts in week 1 as well. Week 2 was an absolute bloodbath.
Yeah.
Where there was 100 people that lost out after week 1. There's only like 150 or so people left. 5 586 people lost. New Orleans versus Tampa. Out, eliminated.
Tell the
gone.
people, too, what a survival pool
Well,
is in case there's somebody that doesn't know.
Basically you have to pick one winner, straight up, no lines, no anything, but you can't use that team again. So in week 1, for instance, if you took, I don't know, let's say you took Denver to beat Baltimore. Okay? Denver wins, so you move on to week 2, you can never use Denver again.
Gotcha.
So week 2, you have to pick somebody else. For me, I was one of the dummies, one of the 200 people that had Miami over Jacksonville. There's no way Miami should lose that game.
No.
Not the way they did, but they look terrible.
No,
they lose to Jacksonville.
We realize most of you degenerates out there like us know what a survival pool is. But, we're trying to broaden our audience here. So.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, no one blames you for that. And don't blame us for our poor performance picking NFL games this week.
It's
We're
for
going to get right
entertainment.
back on the horse.
Yeah.
That's right. It's for entertainment input, but it's also for pride purposes
Sure.
for us. So.
And if you live in Nevada and can legally wager on games, feel free to fade all of our picks, and you probably make a lot of money at this point.
Absolutely.
So far.
And the rest of the world of sports, not too much going on. A little movement in that high school football hatchet case. Did you see that?
Yeah, that the coach admitted that he told them, and they still claim the referee used some racial epithets. I don't know that I believe that, but
I don't either.
The coach is going to be in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, not much going on right now. Football is king. College football.
Hockey's underway.
Hockey's going to get going very shortly.
Yep. Preseason
College football, I've been watching it. Little parity there.
Yeah, Alabama getting beat at home was a little surprising the way they lost. Just turned the ball over like crazy, but look, they're not done. We saw it last year with Ohio State. Ohio State lost to a crappy Virginia Tech team.
Yeah, I mean,
Ohio
Ohio State, man. I mean, they can be dominant, but a MAC team hadn't beaten Ohio State since 1894.
Yep.
Northern Illinois stayed within a touchdown most of that game. So they could have accomplished. This is by far the best team in the nation, according to the polls. Yeah. Northern Illinois almost took them down this weekend.
Yeah.
So we'll let that sort itself out too before we give you a little sage advice on that.
But for all the Alabama fans that are looking at it and wondering what had happened to them, look, Ohio State lost to Virginia Tech last year. Came all the way back. Dominated Wisconsin, I believe, in the Big Ten title game.
Yep.
Ended up going to the college football playoffs, won the whole thing. Alabama has so many teams on their schedule. Now, it's going to be a grind, but they have so many teams on their schedule that are good. If they start winning, there's no reason that if they win out and win the SEC title, they won't be
no reason to panic. I would think some of these NFL teams have NFL teams at 0-2. Some of them have more reason to panic than some of these college football powerhouses.
9% is the number of 0-2 teams since they've gone to the 4-division format. I think it was 2002. Only 9% of teams that start 0-2 make the playoffs.
Okay.
So there you go. If you're 1-1, it's 42%. That's the difference. That's how amazingly different it is between 0-2 and 1-1. It's just one game. It's early in the season, but it's almost a 30% difference in your ability to make the playoffs.
Okay, so check the website tonight, pmns.com, for our picks on this weekend's games with the spread. NFL games, that is. Okay, moving on. Politics. We talked about this a little last week about Scott Walker being in trouble. I had no idea he was in this much trouble. He is the second Republican candidate to drop out of the race. Did so earlier this week.
Yeah.
Surprised a lot of donors of his. Surprised a lot of people. I had said he hadn't been terrible. He just hasn't been very good. He had been dropping like a stone in the polls. I mentioned how important it was in Iowa for him. He's a neighboring Wisconsin guy. He had dropped to 10th place in Iowa after leading.
Right.
And we knew he was in trouble, but on the flip side of that is there were 5 more debates until they actually settled anything in Iowa. So this is shocking to me. You know, you think maybe Pataki comes out next or one of the lower tiered candidates, but
I guess for me, I don't even look at like Pataki and Lindsey Graham and all the, Gilmore. Fine, you're running for president because you filed all your stuff. You're not really running for president. Let's be honest. They're really not. But Walker was. I mean, Walker, to me, seemed to be in it. And
well, he was a front runner.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden, he just, out of nowhere, his support eroded. And I don't know where it went because I don't know, unless Rubio picked it off, I don't know who is like him in this race. Like, you can kind of understand where Carly and Ben Carson and Trump are kind of all splitting that. Right. We don't want the establishment vote, so they're splitting all of that. You can see where maybe like Rubio and Jeb Bush might be splitting some of that vote. But who is taking all of Walker's support from him? Well, I don't know where it went. I don't know who got it.
I think it was, the draw for Walker initially is the fact that he could appeal to the establishment and the anti-establishment at the same time.
Yeah, because he stood up to the unions in Wisconsin.
Exactly.
And all that.
So it's hard to say where his support went. Conventional political pundit wisdom, which has been all but useless in this cycle, says Marco Rubio will benefit a lot, and he has been going up in the polls. The Washington Post did an article, I think yesterday, saying Marco Rubio is going up in the polls, but he doesn't want you to know about it because he wants to lurk in the background, stay away from the press, the watchful eye of the press, which is now being put on Carly Fiorina, by the way.
Right.
And he's just slowly building his base. It mentioned he passed Jeb Bush in Florida, which is obviously good because there's only going to be one guy coming out of there, obviously, and they're not going to be on the same ticket.
No way you do a Rubio Bush ticket. That can't
happen. So we'll see. And that's the most fascinating thing about this is where does the support go? Because Donald Trump's winning right now, but once people start to go, it'll be interesting to see who rises as that actual second person.
Here's the fascinating story that I'm going to watch for over the next few days, and it happened a couple days ago, and it got a little bit of traction, but not really, is Trump's been able to say stuff about anybody at any time, and it doesn't hurt. I mean, he talked about John McCain, he talked about Rosie O'Donnell, he said a lot of them. He talked about Megyn Kelly. He talked about Fiorina.
Talked about you on the last show. Me on the last show. He
did tell me
He's talked about my mother repeatedly.
I mean,
I don't even know the man.
Nothing phases him.
Just get random texts at night from Donald Trump. It may be one of our friends putting us on.
Carson comes out and says that he doesn't think a Muslim should be president.
Right.
I'll be interested to see if that hurts him or his chances, because if Trump says it, and he had the whole thing with, he refused to shout down the guy who said that Obama wasn't an American.
That I think is ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean,
somewhat ridiculous.
Again, what's he supposed to do? What's Trump supposed to do? Stop and lecture?
He answered the question.
McCain did that, and it didn't help him at all. Everybody just went, oh, okay, that's nice, you're being civil. Who cares? It's politics. You don't have to be civil. But I'm curious to see what will happen with Carson.
Yeah.
If this will hurt him or not.
Well, as a number two, because he rose to number two in the polls, he's getting a lot more media attention. And a lot of that media, as we know, is generally left or left-oriented, coming at the candidates from that perspective. And that's why Rubio's kind of content to lay in the background for now, while the others, the flavor of the month candidates are kind of getting vetted by the press right now. It'll be interesting to see, and I have no idea. I really don't, and nobody does really. That's what's so fascinating about all this.
You would think it would hurt him, but on the other side of it, let's face it, the extreme side of that base will eat that up.
Yeah,
and they'll be like, absolutely, that's exactly the way it should be. Now, Fiorina went on, I believe it was Jimmy Fallon on the late night show,
right?
Or Tonight Show, pardon me,
right?
And she said, "No, that's ridiculous. There is no."
Sang a song about her dog. I think it wasn't Checkers, but it was something.
She's not doing Checkers.
That's Nixon's
dog. But she did say, "No, religion isn't a test to be president in the Constitution," which is a great answer.
Right.
Don't know how that plays though.
Yeah.
To the red meat Republicans, as they call
I don't know how any of it plays. I don't know how many people are really paying attention now, as opposed to in the summer, which was another factor when Walker was doing well, and now that people are paying attention when he wasn't doing so well, it can really cripple you. I don't know. We'll have to see. Right now, though, you got Trump, Carson, and Fiorina are 1, 2, 3
anti-establishment candidates.
It's crazy. So
on the other side. More bad news.
The Democrats.
Depending on who you talk to, more bad news for Hillary. in the emails in
Yeah.
Benghazi,
Right.
and her assistant Huma or however you pronounce her name. This thing just you need like a flow chart. We need to come out
Yeah.
here and kind of be able to draw things to direct people on what's going on, because it just gets weirder and weirder
And
every
without-
single week.
Without even getting into specifics of it, a lot of people have written recently, and this is true. It's just going to keep going because
Right, they can't get rid of it.
the emails are going to keep trickling out, which that's how it is. That's how it's been ordered by the courts, is that the State Department has to produce a certain amount of them.
Like every Friday, right?
Yeah, well, it goes on and on and on.
Right.
It's going to go into the next year. The FBI supposedly now has recovered some of the stuff that was supposedly deleted. So we'll see where it goes. But Hillary, again, Democrats keep searching. Elizabeth Warren, I'm not going to bury her yet. She was on Stephen Colbert and his new David Letterman-esque job. He was basically begging her to run for president. I mean, if she drops, you don't know.
There's no, I mean,
It'd be interesting to see her and Bernie Sanders at the
Oh.
same time, because it would split the progressive vote.
Yeah.
And it'd be very interesting to see.
I wonder how the Native American vote would go
I
there
don't
for Elizabeth.
I don't know.
Or-
I'm not going to speculate on what our redskin friends, our Native American friends. Oh, I blew it now,
Yeah.
didn't I?
You may have.
Oh well.
I was surprised, not really surprised, but intrigued at how well a guy who's not running for president is polling in running for president, Joe Biden. And now
Yeah.
they say his wife is all very supportive and wants him to run.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, to me, the beneficiary is Bernie Sanders if Joe Biden runs, because that splits the more establishment Democratic vote between Biden and Clinton. The thing with Clinton, though, is she's still got half the superdelegates in her pocket. She's already got tons and tons and tons of money to
But she
sit
had
on.
this 8 years ago and it didn't do any good.
It's true. It's
But
true.
Here's the weird thing, and I'm not the first person to bring this up. I won't be the last. There is no young Democrat running.
Strange, yeah.
I mean, it's all older, white,
Yeah.
longtime politicians that are running for office for the Democrats.
Yeah, they can do something with their VP. Julian Castro is always
Sure,
mentioned
yeah,
as
yeah.
the vice presidential choice of Hillary
Right,
Clinton.
right.
Should it, and it might be, who knows, Bernie Sanders might feel the same way. But you're right, it's weird seeing a Democratic field that is so old to a party
Yeah.
that prides itself on speaking to the younger
Well, as I say, if you're a
generation.
millennial, does Marco Rubio, again, is
Against
he more
Clinton?
appealing to you than Bernie Sanders or Joe Biden or
Yeah.
I mean, I
Maybe
don't know.
not Sanders, but that was brought up repeatedly back in the day when we kind of thought the race was going to be some Republican versus Hillary, Rubio versus Clinton. I think a lot of millennials, when they listen to Rubio, they'll listen to Rubio. He was on the Daily Show.
Yeah.
He was defended by Jon Stewart after the New York Times wrote an article on
Right,
his,
right, yep.
I think it was his yacht, which was
Right.
just the kind of a fishing boat.
Right, right.
It's an interesting question, and we'll see. I don't know. I don't know what millennials are doing.
Yeah. That'll be the vote I think that decides this thing.
All right, so it continues right now in the political world. Everybody's kissing the Pope's hand. He's in D.C. He'll be in New York next. So that's kind of it's interesting because with that, it's because the Pope is, the left points to, oh, he said abolish the death penalty and we got to do better in the war of poverty. And the right saying,
Climate control.
yeah, well, yes, climate change. And the right is saying, oh, okay, yeah, let's just advertise the message you guys want to get out. He's also saying abortion is wrong.
Right.
And what's the other one? I forget.
Yeah,
The right likes about him.
A lot of different stuff, but
No, I forget. But
I'm not Catholic, so I'm not going to speak ill of the Pope. But I'm trying to think of, is there any
I'll
other?
speak ill of the Pope.
Well, is there any other leader of a religion that would be able to shut down 2 cities, 3 cities, really? Because he did to Philly. I mean, New York, Philly, and D.C.
Oh, I didn't know that.
But-
Philly's in trouble too.
Philly,
huh?
he's headed to Philly too, I believe.
Oh.
So, if, like the Dalai Lama comes to,
Seems like an unnecessary stop on the way to New
Oh,
York.
wow.
But I'm not going to tell you
if
what to do, Pope.
if the Dalai Lama comes, big hitter the Lama, by the way. Does it shut down DC, because he's been here before and it didn't.
Right.
So I don't understand.
It should.
Again, I'm not Catholic, so I don't get it. But I don't understand the big deal to watch a guy drive by in the Pope mobile.
Well, a lot of people that it was great because all the feds, they're just looking for an excuse to stay home. They stayed home. And actually, if you did have to work in D.C., unless you were going to a very localized area, you could just drive right in. People have been telling me they drove right into work this morning, got in easy. But yeah, I mean, should that be the case? Do we really have to freeze one half of the federal government? When we hear next week, by the way, there's a possible government shutdown coming in about a week and a half, I think. Yeah. But we don't know if it'll happen. But if it does happen, oh my God, the government is paralyzed for a week. Well, I mean, they're staying home right now with the Popo for half a week. I mean, should I really be worried if the government is shut down for a couple weeks?
It's better that way.
Turned out okay last time. Everybody still got paid eventually.
Well,
so
that's the thing. And
we'll see what happens.
Don't feel. I mean, everybody's gonna be like, "Oh, the politicians and they're playing with the work." Look, everybody who works for the Fed is going to get paid. Even if they're shut down, they're not going to lose any money. They're all going to get paid. So it's a big dog and pony show.
Well, it is fascinating because if the government is shut down, it might be kind of over Planned Parenthood, which is something the Pope is speaking of, with abortion. Right. So we'll see. We'll get into that next week if it starts to get imminent, which it almost certainly will. Let's move on to movies. You see any of the fall movies yet?
I have not.
Okay, that's okay.
I have not. I've been delinquent in that. I'm not. Again, I didn't really see anything that's come out that I was like, gotta rush out to the theater. Now you saw the new
Black Mass.
Yes. So that.
It was a good movie. It was a good start to the fall movie season, which we're very excited about.
It's the Whitey Bulger movie, right?
Yeah, the thing about it was the problem with mob movies is you get inevitable comparisons to the classics. Sure. It's just such a well done genre. Like this is told over like 20 to 30 years. Even
he's on the run for a long time.
Exactly. They didn't go into any of that though. Okay. It was basically his relationship with the FBI guy who was hooking him at the FBI, getting information, some good, some bad, which is a fascinating story. But they did it over 20, 30 years, so you immediately get Goodfellas comparisons. Okay. And we got De Niro behind us in the pictures this week. He's opening a movie this week. We'll get into that in a minute.
Right.
But it's a well-acted movie. Johnny Depp is great for the first time since I can remember, since his first Jack Sparrow probably, which is like 10, 11 years ago. He's great. Issues I had with it were minor. A lot of the good, powerful scenes are in the previews, so it's kind of lessened in that regard. And B, even though it's a great story, it goes over several decades, and there's not a lot of pivotal incidents. It's like kind of a fascinating tale, but it's not really. You meet a lot of characters, you don't get enough on some of those characters. So it's a shame because it's a very good movie. I gave it a B+, but you automatically compare it to The Goodfellas, The Godfather,
The Town,
all that stuff.
Okay, because you've got, again, I was going to bring up, it seems like for whatever reason.
Well, there's been a million Boston.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Hollywood seems to go through those things where every movie is this city, every movie, for a while they're Chicago or Vegas or whatever. When you had Casino and Bugsy and all that stuff.
Right.
Now it seems like Boston is
that
city.
Started with, I don't know, Boondock Saints or something back about 10 years ago. But it's a good movie. I enjoyed it a lot. It was a great start to the season. This week, also expanding in the theaters, Everest, which came out just in IMAX theaters last week. Okay, I saw some of it, but then they shooed me out of the movie theater. But it is what we think. It's a dramatic movie with a guy struggling to get home, who misses his family. The special effects are great. It's mostly a special effect movie, but it's acted really well. Everest is expanding this weekend. They just had it in... What was interesting, they just had it in IMAX movie theaters last week. Sicario, which is the movie Emily Blunt got into trouble with for her political comments. She's a Brit married to John Krasinski of The Office, and she watched the GOP debate and said, something like she made her want to be back in England.
She became an American citizen and then said,
exactly.
I don't want to be. I'm embarrassed to be an American. And it's like, well, then go be British.
That's what most people said. Go be British.
Go be British.
Not a hair off our back.
Yeah.
But anyway, she's in a good movie, Sicario.
Okay.
She does a great job in that movie. It's about the drug law enforcement and fighting the drug lords down in Mexico and the cartel and all that. That gets wider release this week. That was only playing in like 4 or 6 theaters in New York and LA this week. And then you got Hotel Transylvania 2. You got an Eli Roth horror movie. I think it's called The Green Tornado or something like that. I forget what it's called. But it's Eli Roth. It basically boils down to Americans go somewhere and it's very unpleasant for them, a la Hostel or all his other movies. And then you have one more starring up boy, Robert De Niro back there. The Intern, where he's an intern at a fashion magazine with Anne Hathaway.
Age 70.
Age 70.
He's actually 72, so he's playing a little bit younger.
Yeah.
Like when you have the college age kids playing high school. It's the same thing.
Exactly. I probably won't see that. I'm sorry. The director's done some other stuff that's been fairly good in the romantic angle. I just don't want to see Robert De Niro, learn to use computers and laugh about it. And he got some press this week when he walked out of an interview for it. I think he's just crotchety at this stage.
He's 72.
I wouldn't want to talk to people if I was Robert De Niro. I mean, I can't blame him. So we'll give him that.
Well, the interviewer had accused him of coasting in movies. That was part of the thing. So I can understand if you're De Niro,
he's made some pretty average movies.
Be like,
recently.
yeah, but you're gonna look at the interview and be like, how dare you accuse me of coasting?
Yeah,
I'm Robert De Niro.
I think you definitely could accuse him of coasting.
I think he's earned the right of being able to coast.
That's true. That's true.
So.
A coaster for Robert De Niro.
That's right.
It's okay. It's okay. But that's a classic movie right there. He's made so many classic movies, and you talk about putting Black Mass up against the classic movies, which is kind of a shame.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of a shame that anything Robert De Niro does will automatically be put up against his classics. So, whatever. So that's about it this week. We don't have much more. Do you have anything to add? You've been watching a little TV lately.
Yeah, there's some good TV shows. Big fan of Gotham.
Okay.
Fox also followed. That's on Monday. People don't watch it because it's Monday nights at 8. Everybody's waiting for the football game to start.
Right.
But following that, they also have Minority Report. They've turned the Tom Cruise movie into a series, and I watched the first 20 minutes or so and then stopped. Not because it was bad, because it was good, and I went, I can't have another TV show that I have to watch every week. I need to punch out on this thing now before I get sucked into, now I got another one I have to watch. So it looked really good. And it was tough for me to tear away, but I was like, nope, not going to do it. So that's why
TV shows, movies are becoming TV shows now. I mean, Fargo recently, Minority Report. I mean, that seems to be the trend. And I'm with you, man. I can only watch a few of them. I'm on Breaking Bad right now with my wife.
Okay.
We'll wait until the series is over, and then we'll watch the whole thing.
Smart.
So the new thing, if you say, I like Gotham, Gotham's pretty good, I'm like, okay, I'll file that
Gotham's
away.
really good.
5 years from now, when the series is over, I'll start watching Gotham.
There you go.
So it's nice. It's binge watching TV. That's the lay of the land. So these days. Well, enjoy. We'll be watching sports this weekend. We'll go out to the movies. I probably won't see The Intern, but I'll see a couple others. Not sure what. And then check out, still on the site is the entire fall movie schedule into the winter. It's dynamite. It's going to be good. Politics-wise, you got a government shutdown maybe coming up next week. You got the Pope in the country. So that's about what's what right now.
Yep.
All right, Bill Rowland, you want to give a Twitter plug? You want to
at Bill Rowland, ROHLAND, and also a friend of mine I actually donated. Her daughter is a childhood cancer survivor.
Excellent.
And September is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month, so I got my old T-shirt here. So if you guys go online and check that out, then if you want to donate, she'd appreciate it. It'd be great.
Excellent,
So,
excellent.
Yeah, daughter's doing very well, cancer-free now.
Excellent. She didn't go to the rally down by the White House.
She
did
lives. She lives in Atlanta, so no, she wasn't at that one.
Okay, if you know what
Yeah.
happened there, the Secret Service wasn't that kind to some cancer.
No, she's in Atlanta, so no, she wasn't at that
Okay,
rally.
very good, very
No.
good.
Our
Okay.
daughter's doing well, so we're very happy about that.
Bill's a radio personality here in Washington, D.C., and I'm Chris Jolly. I am founder and editor of PMNS.com. We thank you, and we'll see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.